Hi guys, this little video here is to talk about why I plan on going from 7.3 IDI motors to 12 valve Cummins motors. Right here is a truck I've had on the channel before. It was my first truck, and I've had a couple different motors I wanted to put in it. I'll probably go with a 12 valve Cummins. That is the plan. I always wanted to put the Ford inline-6 diesel motor out of a New Holland combine in it. That would be really cool, something a little different. But for price-wise, for what you get, I believe that I'll go 12 valve Cummins along with my 96 cabbed F350 White Lightning. It'll be getting an old cab about the same year as this, a little newer crew cab on top of it, and probably also a 12 valve Cummins. And here's the reason why I am planning on not doing 7.3s and doing 12 valve Cummins. One, that's the motor everybody uses in their stuff, and that's because it is a really good motor. Both 7.3 and 12 valve Cummins can reach 1,000,000 miles. Both aren't super common to, but they both can. It's more common for the 12 valve to. They're both capable, depending on how you've treated them. I've heard of both making it to that many miles. But I'd say in a whole overall, the 12 valve Cummins lasts longer. So that would be one of my reasons why. I made a video saying I was going to do a 7.3 build on a motor, 7.3 IDI motor build. And I think I'm actually changing my mind. It's at the machine shop, it's cleaned up. I'm very busy on the road working pipeline, and it needs some parts, and it'll basically, to build that motor, it will cost me $4 grand, and it is the cheaper end of things if I find a cheap 12 valve Cummins, which you can find a good running 150,000 12 valve Cummins motor with a turbo on it for $1,000, $1,500, $2,500 to $3,000. If I find one of those on the cheaper end, the kit will cost about $3,000, a little under the $3,000, to put one of those in this truck. So I can either have a brand new built 7.3 with a turbo for about $4 grand, or I can have a 100,000 mile, 150,000 mile 12 valve Cummins motor in the truck. And I just think that the 12 valve Cummins generally starts a little better than the 7.3. It has more torque and can pull more weight. It's just a better towing motor. You have a 7.3 pulling a camper down the highway like I do, or a 12 valve Cummins. The 12 valve Cummins is more practical. So one reason it's going to cost me the same to swap to those rather than have fixed up 7.3s. And the key part going with that is if I have a breakdown, the availability on the 12 valve Cummins parts, they're a lot more available, and there's such a support group for them that they're easier to get a hold of as of now. The 7.3 IDI parts are a little bit hard to get a hold of sometimes. And the 12 valve Cummins parts, like compare a water pump, which I know is one of the simplest things on the 12 valve, but the water pump compared to the water pump, way easier, way less time to replace, and also you just have more room with the inline-6 working on it than the V8. And also, so many people do this, I think there's a bigger support group for aftermarket parts, people that generally work on them, and just in future, the 7.3 IDI is probably going to die out way before the 12 valve Cummins. And there is, which I have sitting on the back of this at the moment, the 7.3 Power Stroke. That's a good motor, it's powerful, but it cost me more to put one of those in here than the 12 valve would, and I like mechanical injection systems, no electronics. Both the 7.3 IDI and the 12 valve Cummins, both mechanical injection systems with only like 3 wires to run the motor. The 7.3 Power Stroke takes more than that, takes a whole computer. So both those motors are what I like in a motor. And yet the 12 valve probably will be easier to get a hold of parts if I had to break down on the road, driving from state to state. and is easier to work on. It'd be the same price to build a 7.3 as it would to buy used Cummins, but I'll take a Cummins with 100,000 miles over the 7.3 just for the fact that I feel like it can easily outlast the 7.3 by that. So I feel like I'm kind of starting on the same playing field. And just me out of state being busy, I think it'd be more sensible to have. Plus, I would say they do a better job at towing a load on our highway speeds of nowadays. A 7.3 can tow a load just fine, the IDIs, except for I don't think they can keep up with the speed limits on the major highways going from state to state towing. They can not towing, but towing is a little different story. And you can soup them up, you can make them compete, but it just cost me more that way. So most likely this 1970 Ford, the cab was an F250, but now it's an F350 frame. We'll probably be getting a 12-valve Cummins with a ZF5, and so will the 96 F350 White Lightning truck. Except for it, we'll be getting an older cab, kind of like this, but the crew cab version. So that's my reasoning, Black Diesel Garage, why I am going to 12-valve Cummins rather than 7.3 IDI in my trucks. And I'll also, here real quick, give you a view on this truck since this has not been on the channel for a while. And you can see it's been in the weeds for quite a while. So I'll give you a look at this and explain where I'm going to go with this in the future. All right, so a little bit about the truck. This was my first truck. I can't remember how old I was when I bought it. 14 maybe, I can't remember. It started out as a fire truck for Galena, Kansas. I'm a volunteer firefighter, so I thought that was kind of cool. Galena, Kansas is on Route 66. It's the same town the tow truck Mater was found based off of for the movie Cars. Mater actually, I think, was an international truck. Didn't look a thing like the Cars Chevy Mater, but they went to Galena, Kansas, saw the tow truck, and they said they based Mater off of that. So this is a fire truck from that same town. Kind of cool. I bought it as a two-wheel drive F250 with a 306 and 4-speed. But then later I took the cab, I put it on top of this frame. This is an 88 four-wheel drive 1-ton frame that came with a 460 and a 3-speed automatic, I believe. There's a 7.3 Power Stroke on the bed. My plan is to ground up, go through the frame, put a ZF5 I have laying around in it, and a 12-valve Cummins would be the plan for that. Go through everything, make it brand new, probably go through the transmission, go through the axles. I don't know if I probably won't go through the 12-valve Cummins motor. I would like, in theory, I would like it to be a single cab. Probably build my own bed, but probably go for like a CM styled skirted bed. Get rims about the same size, about 10 or 12 wide, 15-inch, 16-inch rims with the dog dish hubcaps, steel rims would be the idea, with some mud tires, probably 35s. I don't know what those tires are. They're probably pretty close to 35s. It was a custom truck. It was Kansas Forestry. It has a fire paint job done on it, but underneath the fire truck paint job, you can see military green. Firewalls, military green. Hood is military green. It's pretty uncommon for Fords to be a military truck. Military green, government plating saying what it is and not to sell to civilians, which was probably when it was new that it's government property. But of course now it's old and now I own it. Don't really know the history of the truck. For it being a Ford that's military green, and then went to forestry, I'm assuming it was ordered a military truck for the military, and a lot of military vehicles wind up going to forestry once the military is done with them. So since it's a Ford, it was probably someone on a base who was high enough to order the kind of truck they wanted to drive around. Government military stuff goes to the lowest bid on a contract for their trucks, which has pretty much always been Chevy. So Fords were not really military trucks as far as I'm concerned. And it says custom, it was custom ordered. So it was probably someone on a base with high enough authority to order their own truck, probably ordered this thing to drive around the base. So probably just sat on a base, driven here and there, was probably its first life. Then they probably got done with it in the military and went to be a forestry truck, which none of that's confirmed. That's all just me guessing with what I know, what probably happened with the truck. And then it was in Galena, Kansas. A guy bought it for the fire department I was on. They did not want it, so it just sat in his yard forever. He used it in the winter to drive up his driveway to get the snow out of the way, although it was a two-wheel drive truck because it gripped pretty good. Just sat around most of its life, so I bought it from him and drove it and then turned it into so far what it is. I plan on making this truck. I've had different plans for a long time, and I also wanted to make it to where it could do everything, where I could unbolt a flatbed, bolt a service bed, unbolt that, bolt a welding bed, just a bunch of different stuff. I thought about having bail arms and having different skids I could pick up and lay on the bed for different jobs. But I think what I'll do is I'll probably build a flatbed, and I'll probably build it like a CM or like a Bradford bed with the skirting around the edge and the little fender. And I'll probably make it to where I can bolt in a thick fender or unbolt that thick fender, kind of like a pipeliner style fender. And that way I can throw spacers on the back and turn it into dually or single tire. So if I'm rig welding, I can have a dually pickup with a welder and all kinds of junk on the bed. But if I'm just driving around doing whatever, or if I'm an operator or something, I could just not need to burn up the extra tires, don't need to haul that weight, pull the fenders off, pull the tires off, pull the spacer off, and throw a single tire on it. Is probably the plan. I plan on leaving the paint job, leaving the dents, and just clear coating it all, redoing seals for the cab, put these mirrors on correctly. It has under the tank bed, it has tanks underneath the bed. Here's an in the cab tank. I plan on chopping into this and making it a lid, just so I have a storage box behind the seats. It has King Ranch seats in it right now. I actually like, it's a rear seat. I want a rear seat, but I actually would prefer the newer model of King Ranch rear seats. So it may get those, it may not. There's the headliner. I plan on most likely pulling that out and putting in a leather one or a cowhide one or something. Probably leave the doors about the same. Maybe build a wood armrest on it. Here is a good dash. The bottom doesn't look the best, but it's actually a very good dash. And I plan on pulling the steering column, and I have an 83 steering column that's tilt, and I'd rather have that. Probably pull that out and make my own dash with gauges. And that might be about it for the interior. Oh yeah, and I will probably build a full bumper replacement for it and build some grill inserts. I could just buy them, but I've had an idea for a long time of how I want to build some grill inserts. And on the full bumper replacement, I actually like a truck better without a full bumper replacement because I like the look of the front of a truck, especially an old truck, and I don't like covering it up with a bush guard. But I'm in Kansas, we got big deer, you hit deer all the time, you ruin the fronts of your vehicles. So this thing being old and all matching and how I like it, I want to protect it. So I will build myself a full bumper replacement for this truck. Oh yeah, and I've thought about, I'll probably do 4 or 5 inch exhaust and cab lights, and I'd like to do probably a chrome visor off the front, but do kind of like one off of Peterbilt for it, that style. So thanks for watching. Go ahead and get down in the comments and let me know your guys' thoughts on 12 valve Cummins versus 7.3 IDI motors. I think that's all I had to say about that. I think I touched all the bases I was thinking on of why I am going from the 7.3 to 12 valve Cummins in all my trucks. I know a lot of people that watch the channel are probably 7.3 guys. So I may have 7.3s on the channel later on for like building one for a giveaway truck. But as for me, I think it'd be best for me to have the 12 valve Cummins motor. So hope that clears some things up for you guys, lets you know on where we plan on going with the channel as far as our own personal trucks on the channel. We do have my wife's 52 Ford, which has a 7.3 and will stay a 7.3. I had a turbo for one of my 7.3s that if she wants it on her truck, we may put a turbo on that truck. I know in the past she thought about it, but that will stay a 7.3 truck you guys will see on the channel we'll work on. But as for my two pickups, they will be 12 valve Cummins. And I also have another truck I bought. It's in Texas, a black 86 Ford. That's 6.9, and it will stay 6.9 most likely. So we'll still have some 7.3s, but our actual builds we plan on doing in the future, they'll be 12 valve Cummins. Unless it's a giveaway truck, we might do a 7.3 giveaway truck. But thanks for watching. All the support is appreciated. And as in all the sharing, the likes, the subscribing, it boosts the channel and makes it possible for us to make more videos. So thank you guys very much, and we'll catch you on the next one on Black Diesel Garage. See you guys.